Welcome back, everybody, to the show. My goodness, where do we even start? Well, I know where we're starting, but I don't know how to introduce it because it really feels like the world has just been turned upside down. And I think if someone asks me, Luke, describe American politics in a photograph, because after all, a picture is worth 1,000 words, I would say this. This is the state. What was that?
Yeah.
One more time.
Yeah.
One final one.
Yeah.
And you know how I just recently... So we're going to be reviewing this speech and more important stuff and the anniversary of January 6th and a bunch of things Trump said on that topic and others during the speech. But you remember how I just got my old-timey voice impression down? Well, it's something I think about a lot when reviewing current news items, which is how could you possibly describe this years, decades from now in a history book? And when I watch documentaries about past times in history, it feels like a historical event. And there's no doubt the U.S. taking over Venezuela and the president admitting it's for oil is definitely a historical event. But imagining this. Welcome, everybody, to CBS News. This is Luke Beasy reporting live from Washington, D.C. We have breaking news. The United States president has announced an invasion of Venezuela. He's giving a speech live now. We're going to go to him in blah, 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 America.
Get up. And you see, I want to be more, but I have somebody watching. I want to be more effusive. I want to really, yeah. But she gets it, drops the thing, walks off the stage crying. Her mother's crying, her father's crying. Guy gets up. He said, "Have you lifted before?" A little bit. And he walks up, he could have gone ding, 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 ding.
That was the president of the United States in blah, 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 America. And we are checking in with our sources to figure out what the that was. And we do have a live quote in on Trump's plan for Venezuela.
I want to really, yeah.
We're trying to understand that.
Yeah.
Commercial break. We'll be right back. And in response, you had people like Riley Gaines, this MAGA swimmer, say Trump's imitation of a trans weightlifter. No, I don't regret my vote. This is perfect. This is your one issue? His impersonation of, I think it's more his impersonation of a cis weightlifter in contrast to a trans weightlifter. I think that's the story. Is this the same clip?
He could have gone ding, 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 ding. I think it was 112 pounds, right? It's crazy.
You could say that again. By the way, 112 pounds. Trump just accidentally revealed just how little he knows about the gym or weights. It's not that much to... I mean, that's like a lot of weight, but plenty of people who do weightlifting can lift 112 pounds over their head. What is that? Like... the bar and whatever, less than a plate on either side. You could push that over your head, over your now almost bald head, Jaden. I know, everybody. It's very different. Jaden did not consult us before he made such a big decision. This is something that should be a team decision when you chop off all your luxurious locks. What are they called? You get it. Let's move forward in this speech. While we do, please do click the subscribe button. What a crazy day. So much to talk about. If you appreciate what we do, all it takes to support us in the simplest fashion and the freest fashion is clicking that subscribe button.
She hates when I dance. I said, everybody wants me to dance. Darling, it's not presidential. She actually said, could you imagine FDR dancing?
So, wait, before... No, for a couple of reasons. Can you imagine FDR dancing? Shoot. Before we play the rest of that, though, I've said before that I really struggle with Melania's accent. Like I do Marjorie Greene's accent, we do Bobby, we do Trump, we do Obama, we do Biden, all those impersonations. I've tried to do a Melania and it always just kind of comes out weird. But apparently this is how Melania speaks in Trump's brain.
He wants me to dance. Darling, it's not presidential.
Darling, it's not presidential. Hoo-yah, Navy.
Hoo-yah, Navy.
Who gives a f*** about Christmas? So I'm going to do that from now on. It's not offensive. Trump did it. Donald, stop trying to touch me.
She actually said, could you imagine FDR dancing? She said that to me. And I said, there's a long history that perhaps she doesn't know. Because he was an elegant fellow, even as a Democrat, right? He was the attack by Japan, he was quite elegant. But he wouldn't be doing this. But nor would too many others. But she says, darling, please, the weightlifting is terrible.
Yeah, I think she just doesn't like being reminded of when you make the noise. I think that's why she doesn't like the weightlifting. I think that noise just brings back bad memories for her. Yeah. All right, now today is the Donald, stop making that noise. By the way, he has the same voice for every person who's not him. He'll go, and then Xi Jinping said to me, Sir, Supreme Leader. He calls me Supreme Leader. Sir, please don't do that. That's what Trump does. And then Maduro calls me and he said, please don't do that. Trump's impression is the same for everybody. Now, on this 5th anniversary of January 6th, where I really think in the history books, whether or not those clips make an appearance, what will make an appearance is the unraveling, at least for the time being, of our system of government and our democratic process. And where you can pinpoint, not because the riot itself is fully indicative of this, it's just a part of it, but a point on a timeline when the degradation of American democracy accelerated was January 6th. And reality, to an extent that we've probably never seen before, being flipped on its head and people being able to really exist in completely detached from reality echo chambers, January 6th. I think it's going to be such a crucial historical moment. Because after that, you saw the institutions, the norms, the assumptions from leaders about what is right foundationally collapse in the Republican Party. And so many of them did the Lindsey Graham sort of course, Trump sparking this type of attack on our democracy must mean he's goodbye in politics. So I'm going to say,
Trump and I, we've had a hell of a journey. I hate it being this way. Oh my God, I hate it. From my point of view, he's been a consequential president. But
what even compliment is that? That's such a everyone's consequential. Just everyone's consequences. Hitler was consequential. Hella consequential. Now, because people are confused lately, consequentially bad needs to be specified in our current political discourse.
Today, first thing you'll see. All I can say is count me out. Enough is enough. I've tried to be helpful. But when the Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled 4-3 that they didn't violate the Constitution of Wisconsin, I agree with the 3, but I accept the 4. If Al Gore can accept 5-4, he's not president. I can accept Wisconsin 4-3.
Well, you're so brave that you're okay after weeks, months of Trump trying to steal an election that now you'll concede. But he never did. But even the Lindsays, even the Kevin McCarthy's, and go down the list, went from, okay, well, obviously this means Trump's gone politically. obviously him doing everything, even criminally based on prosecutors, that would have held Trump accountable if he had to become president again. Attempting to steal an election, defraud voters. That has to be it for this movement. And then all of them, in a matter of a few months, realized, nope, finger to the wind, still blowing in his direction among enough Republican voters. And they all started lying to their followers and to themselves about what happened. And now that's being engraved in our institutions. The White House sent out a website link you can go to that tells you the truth about January 6th. Like, what even is the debate? I know even if you support Trump and you think Nancy Pelosi said, no, I won't send a National Guard. Even if you believe that, even if you believe feds were in the crowd and they were provoking people, even if you believe Antifa and Trans Tifa and Black Tifa, all of them were in the crowd. I know that you know the only reason that happened, the only reason even your conspiracy theories could have an event to conspiracy theorize around is because something real happened. And that something real was that Trump spent months lying about our elections and trying to steal them through the fake elector scheme, through his pressuring of Pence, through the pressuring of local officials to overturn their vote tallies. But instead, now the White House of the United States, we bring you now to the White House. Think about that. Think about like old reporting. This emblem, this institution is now sending out on January 6, 2021, Ashley Babbitt, Muradin in cold blood. Mike Pence refuses to act. Stolen election certified. President Trump silence. Mass arrests of patriotic protesters. January 6th, Select Committee exposed. Just propaganda. This is right out of authoritarian regime stuff. And why? Because it's not a matter of opinion. It all happened on TV. We heard what Trump said. We saw what he did. We saw what the crowd did. And we saw how it was a culmination of weeks and weeks of scheming to overturn the results. But once you can get a population to say, I'll believe you over my own eyes, then that's how we get where we are now. And now, because I know Jaden's on a little bit of a rough streak when I do trivia questions, and we love him for that. Maybe the new haircut gets more oxygen to the brain, and this one you'll nail. Think of Mike Johnson, okay? I think it'll assist in this answer. And audience, do this with me. Republican Majority Leader in the Senate, John Thune, was asked about the website I just showed you where they're telling lies about what happened. What do you think John Thune answered with? This website rewrote January 6th. What are your thoughts?
No, that's the truth.
Ah, darn. No, it's okay. And these are tough because I've seen them, so I don't know how to frame the question. You're going to get it because what does Mike Johnson always do?
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, good.
Do you think that the White House on their website said put blame in part on the Capitol Police for the violence that happened on January 6th, 5 years ago? I'm curious whether or not you agree with the assessment on their website that says they're provocative tactics which are a peaceful demonstration into chaos. Do you think the Capitol Police is partly to blame for the violence on their website?
I haven't seen what they put on their website, but the
I haven't seen it. They all just do that now. No, I haven't seen it. Oh, Trump said Democrats should be murdered. Haven't seen it. Oh, Trump said Rob Reiner died because he had Trump derangement syndrome. Haven't seen it. It's so cowardly. Aaron Rupar said the American people electing Trump after he staged a coup attempting 5 years ago today was a nail. Let me read that again. The American people electing Trump after he staged a coup attempt 5 years ago today was a nail in the coffin of our democracy. You can rationalize it all you want. But inflation, but wokeness. But ultimately, it was a societal suicide attempt and probably the dumbest collective voting decision ever made. Yep, it's true. It is true. Nancy Pelosi went to a hearing today to try to whoop-de-doo. To try to correct the record on the Trump lies and essentially said all the things we know. Maybe we can jump in for a piece of this.
That president who incited that insurrection continues to lie about what happened that day. On my way over here, I saw on TV that he was claiming that we did not ask for the National Guard. I thank Representative Hinziger and as well as Elaine Loria for setting the record straight and other testimony that you've heard here. For over 3 hours, we begged him to send the National Guard. He never did it. He took joy in not doing it. Was savoring that. And right now, he was saying on TV today, I wanted to send it, they just wouldn't do it. His own Secretary of Defense, acting Secretary of Defense, testified under oath against what the president is saying.
So we don't have to relitigate all this. It's just sort of making sure you remember and marking this moment, not because, as many MAGAs have accused me of, we have an irrational obsession with one day, but because the unraveling we're seeing to this day was very much accelerated with what happened that day. So it is important to circle back to and say, I refuse to respect your opinion on anything ever if you don't have the correct opinion on the foundation of our system. That's it. I refuse to hear about, but I think that wokesters don't care until, I'd love to talk about that next, until you establish a respect for what lets all this go round, what continues this whole process moving. And it's the very thing that Trump attacked. And remember too, texts from Don Jr. during the time, they all knew how bad this was. Then they tried to rewrite it. He's got to condemn this shit ASAP. Don Jr. was texting to Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows. The Capitol Police tweet is not enough. Mark said, I'm pushing it hard. I agree. Don Jr. said, we need an Oval Office address. He has to lead now. It's gone too far and gotten out of hand. Now Don Jr. would deny ever believing that. So let's hear what Trump was saying at this speech. Rehashing, rewriting, that's where the word applies, his lies. That sentence didn't make sense. You get it.
The problem is the fake news. That's why I like being on. I'd much rather do live television than do non-live because, when they say, as an example in my speech, peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol, peacefully and patriotically. Do you know that the Unselect Committee didn't report it, that I said those words? Do you know that the news never reported the words walk or march peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol? Do you know they never reported it? It's a scandal. The Unselect Committee never reported that. They never reported that Nancy Pelosi was offered 10,000.
So this is just complete delusional mumbo jumbo. His entire speech was very well available. I've at least watched it multiple times. And him giving himself an out by saying that does not change the weeks of lies that even cause people to think violence would be necessary. You don't get to go pound them, fight them. They're stealing your country. They're going to kill you. You have to go stop them. Fight like hell. Fight like hell. Peaceful patriotically. Fight like hell. But I said peaceful. Doesn't work like that. And again, people forget this and I don't know why. Does everyone know that the reason he was being prosecuted was not just because of the words he was saying, but this whole conspiring among a bunch of different officials and a bunch of different people to actually steal the election, nothing related to the riot, through defrauding voters by faking the electoral count? Just remember, peacefully patriotic does not dispute that at all. And that's the part that people reading history are going to be horrified by. Okay, then he goes on to the Nancy Pelosi said, I won't give you to...
Pelosi was offered 10,000 soldiers, National Guard soldiers, whatever you want. No, I don't want them. And the mayor. The mayors were in writing. She was more honorable about it. But Nancy got caught when her daughter did a documentary. She's a documentariess. And...
is that the term? And then he goes on to tell that lie, which is also not true. But what's weird is... go look it up, by the way, MAGA, if you believe that. Go look up who is in charge of the DC National Guard. Go look it up and see if what he's saying tracks. But But he's blaming Nancy Pelosi. I thought it was Nikki Haley's fault.
You know. By the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. You know, Nikki Haley. You know, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything, deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people, soldiers, National Guard, so whatever they want. They turned it down. They don't.
So it's just delusional. There he was mixing up Nikki Haley and Nancy Pelosi. And then we've had a lot of new followers since following the 2024 campaign. Just remember, crazy saga. His brain glitches out and he repeats Nikki Haley when he's thinking of Nancy Pelosi. And I know this probably gives you a traumatic response remembering this whole saga, but then he goes out in future speeches embarrassed that he did that and it was such a blatant brain fart, even though he insists he's not cognitively.
I'm not cognitively.
And goes, well, no, I did mean to say that because what I was saying was that Nikki Haley did not accept the National Guard troops in the sense that Nancy Pelosi is very similar to Nikki Haley because they're both a part of the deep state. So it was a point about how similar they are. Really. Republican Nikki Haley. Fascinating. Then moving on to a different topic.
But they say that when you win the presidency, you lose the midterm. So you're all brilliant people. Most of you are in this business longer than me. That makes me smarter than you. Because look where I am, right? No, it doesn't. But I wish you could explain to me what the hell's going on with the mind of the public, because we have the right policy. They don't. They have horrible policy. They do stick together. They're violent. They're vicious. You know, they're vicious people.
So we've gone from, we're going to have a golden age. So triumphant. It's going to be so golden. It's going to be showering over everyone. We're all just going to be taking up one big golden shower of Trump's goodness that you won't even have to worry about voting in future elections, he said to certain groups when he was campaigning, because he'll be so popular that everyone will just be falling over themselves to vote for the Republican Party. We went from that to, well, no, I actually do think we're popular even if the polls are dropping for us. Now to, what the hell's going on with the public in the brain? They're crazy. They don't know how great I am. And then he says this, sort of thinking, wouldn't it be nice if we just didn't have the midterms?
The worst president did the worst job. They had the worst policy. We have to even run against these people. Now, I won't say cancel the election. They should cancel the election because the fake news will say, he wants the elections canceled.
So yes, if you said cancel the elections, the fake news, quote unquote, would go, he wants to cancel the elections, because you would have said it. You can't attack the fake news for hypothetically reporting on what you would have said and saying that's dangerous.
Cancel the election. They should cancel the election because the fake news will say, he wants the elections canceled. He's a dictator. They always call me a dictator. Nobody's worse than Obama. And the people that surrounded Biden, not Biden, I don't think it was Biden. He didn't know what the hell was going on, okay? The election was rigged. He had no idea.
And we've just learned nothing. I don't know if some of our younger viewers could possibly get their head around how certain it was after January 6th that Trump's political career was over. Some people thought he was going to be removed from office, even though there were just a few more days before he would leave anyways. People assumed he was going to be disgraced like he should have been forever for trying to steal an election and lying about our electoral process and being the first president to not concede an election and allow for the peaceful transfer of power. And it was just a certainty. Oh, okay, we can all disagree on things. We can disagree. Sometimes people play dishonest games in politics, but this is a bridge too far. And I would have been certain back then. I remember sitting in my living room watching it, and I would have been certain that 5 years from now, everyone would have the same take on the day that just happened, which would be, yeah, that's whenever everyone realized Trump was psychotic. And he's sitting there watching the TV and he refuses to do anything about it. And sends out a post attacking Pence while it's happening as they're chanting "Hang Mike Pence." I mean, that's it. That's it. But now 5 years later, he's the president again. And he's telling those lies, and we don't even barely report on them. Like, how often do you see me going, guys, this is dangerous. Trump just said the 2020 election was rigged. Never. Because it's like we already know people. It feels like we can't change anything about the fact that he and so many other people are going to believe that. But to his stance of, if people really understood what we're doing that's so good, then we won't have any problems in the midterms. You can tell they're getting real nervous for the midterms. Here's James Comer.
Accomplish anything. Hopefully, the Republicans will demonstrate to the American people over the next 12 months that we can govern, and we have policies that'll work for the average working men and women in America.
Yeah, he hit policy pretty hard in all of this.
He says, he hit policy pretty hard? When? When, Harris? Harris Faulkner, more like Harris Fakener. Yeah. But James Comer's like, hopefully in the next 12 months we can prove that we're doing stuff for working people. Why haven't you proven it already yet? During this speech, Trump said something that tickled me about Tim Scott. Pull up Tim Scott and his wife.
Tim Scott, who's a great guy, great, wonderful guy, South Carolina, straight guy, right? He is a good guy, good person.
So there's so many rumors about Tim Scott. And so then when he was running for president, he very abruptly got engaged. You can show that. Beautiful. Absolutely wonderful. I'm happy for them. But everyone mocked it because it was like his whole life he never had a relationship. And people speculated that maybe, you know, which is great. Him and Lindsay were hanging out. And so then to kind of put those rumors to bed, no pun intended, he very rapidly got married. And I actually believe they're in love, and I think that's awesome, despite what I think about him as a politician in some ways. But it's funny for Trump to go, he's a very straight guy, specifying for us all. Then you have...
Security. So let me just finish up, because, you know, I weave. I love to weave. If you ever weave and don't come back to the point, then that's a problem. Then you say... But when you weave and you go here and boom, 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 always coming back, then you're in good shape. But
why is he talking like that? Then you're in good shape.
Yeah.
Coming out this summer, The Weave. We're going to go ping, ping, ping. Don't leave before I do The Weave. In theaters. The Weave. Weave me. Don't weave. Don't weave me, mommy. The Weave.
Find out in the last 2 months, when you tell the people that we want the money to be paid to the people so the people can buy their own health insurance and health care, it's like, and I.
So it's like the noises you're hearing. We just gotta do the show, frankly. Sometimes, and there's noisy and there's vacuuming going on, and we're getting the studio all cleaned up. But if you hear noises, don't worry about it. Okay, it's fine. There's gonna be a little background noise. I'll try to speak through it. But Trump has been saying this, and everyone's clapping. You don't even know what you're clapping for. We went through this before. He's saying his new solution. So we're a decade into him promising his healthcare plan. Still haven't gotten it. But wowza. He's explaining that I finally came up with the plan. I've been working all this time, binders and pages and writing and bulletin boards and whiteboards, and we finally got a healthcare plan. And the healthcare plan is we give you money and you buy your healthcare. Which sounds nice, I guess, but then you think, what does that mean? Like a certain dollar amount per month? But what if you run out of that because you have a lot of health problems? Then are you screwed? But then you go, oh, what if you create a system that allowed people to pay for their health care, but because you should just give them access to the health care that they need, the government program would pay the healthcare providers directly, which would just be a single payer healthcare system, which Trump is very opposed to. So he just says words that you know won't be implemented. And even if you thought, are you saying we just give a flat amount to people regardless of their health needs? But then they go, no. and they try to get any more specific, they just end up explaining Medicare for all, which they're not interested in. And one of the things I was thinking about is, when will he talk about fertilization? I feel like I haven't heard him tell me about fertilization enough. Tell me.
And the other thing is fertilization. They're trying to hit us on fertilization. They were dead on fertilization when I...
What does it mean to be dead on fertilization? That's my question.
They were dead on fertilization.
All of their sperms were dead, shot. It was a sperm massacre. They were crying to their mommies. Mommy! Please, Mommy, I don't want to die. I'm a little sperm. Don't leave me, Mommy. All their fertilization's dead.
And the other thing is...
What? What did I just say? I don't know what's happening. They're dead on fertilization. What he's saying is IVF. That's what he's trying to describe.
And the other thing is fertilization. They're trying to hit us on fertilization. They were dead on fertilization when I got a call from a very wonderful young senator from Alabama saying they had just lost a case. And the case, I've never been met with such scorn. Friends of hers were just going crazy. And I said, explain the issue to me. And it was on IVF, the fertilization.
And she said, please, Mr. President, fertilize Alabama. So what he's referring to is whenever his ability to get Supreme Court justices into power that overturned Roe v. Wade, that then put in jeopardy IVF and different treatments and options for people struggling with fertility. And so then he got backlash for it, justifiably so. And then he just ran around and said, I'm for fertilization. I'm the fertilization president, not even knowing anything about it. And he has admitted that before. He's talking about Katie Britt. Did he even say her name? I don't even think he can remember. Why do I remember what he's talking about better than he remembers the story he's talking about? Katie Britt calls him. He's like, this is going to be bad for you in the election if you're seen as opposed to IVF, which only follows the hardcore anti-choice argument. That would be liability for fertilized embryos, which then would destroy IVF clinics, which is what was happening. Doors are closing. It's great. And I hope you appreciate that I'm charging through this. And so then he just said he was for it. He didn't do anything. And now he takes credit for saving fertilization. And then, you know how we saw that reporting that Trump, in part, was pushed over the edge to invade Venezuela because he didn't like that Maduro was making videos dancing and mocking him?
Years. And, he's a violent guy. He gets up there and he tries to imitate my dance a little bit. But he's a violent guy.
Unacceptable.